Hi everyone, I am so excited to do another update or another day for my Week in the Life 2020 project. This time I will be working on Tuesday. I like to do the timeline or the time at the end, and honestly I was having trouble figuring out how I got the timestamps. I'll explain later when we get there. So I'm starting off with a 6x8 photo of my daughter. During some outside recess, I wound up getting lots of great photos of both the kids and myself, but I can't remember if I included the photos of myself or not. But for one reason or another, I did not include them. I did get the kids, so I think that is really important. And I do have photos of myself throughout the day. And I even had my kiddo, my big kiddo, take some pictures of me in my scrap area. So that is really cool. I am starting off with the page that has gratitudes for today and what I want to remember. I think that's what it is. Or no, feelings about today. So I kind of went through my photos and I picked and chose the ones that best fit those. So my kids are big cuddlers, which I'm always thankful for. So I went with that as a feeling for today. And then my daughter dragging scooters. That was just kind of a feeling for the day. We just had a little bit of bumps, but there was also a lot of great outside time. And then, of course, a little bit of rain in the morning. And as I'm setting up these photos, if I decide like you don't need to hear me chit chat about all the photos, then I can go ahead and turn on some music. Now, if you remember from Monday, I spoke about how I had made myself like little boxes to match the boxes on the right hand side, and then changed my mind and was like, I don't like those. So I just went back to the square grid, which worked out perfect. And now on this page, I had a 4x8 insert of my kids talking to their aunt, my sister in Spain, and I wanted to include that. So I just got the vellum and used that for my insert, and on the back of it, I'm not going to put anything except decorations. I thought about doing journaling, but I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm also going to include it in our 4x6 journaling card as well. And I was kind of looking at the extra pages that I had in my book, I think, to make sure that I was mapping things out correctly, and I was. So I do put a piece of white paper on the back of this 4x8 insert because I knew that I was going to decorate it. So I put this photo more in the section that I considered like evening. I consider one page like evening, and then I have one that kind of wraps up the day. So I just needed to move that 4x8 over. Now what I want to remember, I picked 4 photos that really capture the day, and I feel like my son's face expressions is definitely one. We were also in a season of Barbies, so that definitely had to be included, along with my scrapbooking, and then a silly face that my daughter was making. So lots of great little captures that I have here. Now, the only bummer on this page is I don't know what happened. And, sometimes this happens with photo orders, and it's usually my fault. Well, I would say 99% of the time it's my fault. I missed a photo on printing, and I was so bummed. Like absolutely bummed, because I usually double check making sure that I have all the photos, and I could not find that photo anywhere. So I'm going to go back and print it through my computer, and then once I place another Persnickety orders, I will print that photo. And I think that's actually one of 2 photos that I wound up not having, so pretty bummed about it, but it's human error. What can you do? So I'm filling in the rest of my grid photos below that great photo of the kids and I on the lawn. I absolutely love that photo. It's just priceless. I feel like this year I should recreate that photo because it's been 5 years. I love recreating photos, so I might just have to. Then I, of course, included 2 photos of the kids doing school Zoom, and this is kind of my end page that I was just talking about, where I do the 4x6 and kind of the last photos of the day, and then the 6x8 to end the day, and this is where I included my son's photo. So I've got all my photos laid down, and now I'm going to do my Tuesday flip up card, and behind it you will have the bedtime antics photo. And from there it's going to be pretty much the same formula as Monday with the stamping, with those flowers that I mentioned from the Savor and Quiet Story Kit stamps. I don't know if the digitals are still available because they are story kits, but sometimes they bring those things back and then you can grab those and use them. Okay, so I talked all the way through all my photos, but like I said, if I feel like there's music that's needed, I will put that on. I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm still not doing the timeline. I'm going to go back to this, and I kind of want to repeat what I did on Monday, and again, keep the same kind of formula going. So on Monday, I put one of these plastic acetate pieces, so I'm going to start with that, and I think I mentioned it, but maybe I didn't finish my thought. So the only thing that's really changing is the colors, and I'm going by the colors of the starting paper. So I think for Tuesday it was blue, and the 4x6 card was pink. So I will go with pink and blue throughout the day, and that just kind of makes my color choices pretty simple. So on this little flip up of my son giving me cuddles, and don't tell him I told you this, but he still tries to sit on my lap, and the kid is giant 16-year-old. I always tell him, you're my giant lovable tree. But I treasure it. I absolutely treasure it. So I had to document it here because here he was like a preteen, and I still couldn't believe he liked cuddles, but I'll always take them, and I'm so glad I took pictures, and even more thankful that he let me take those pictures. So I just jotted down a little note about how I'm always up for morning cuddles or, lunchtime cuddles, because I think that's when these photos were taken, because it took me a long time to get dressed during this time, because I usually went woke up, got the kids ready, and then we hopped right on to school Zooms. So there wasn't much time for me to walk away and get ready. I decided for this little empty spot that I have for gratitudes, I'm going to make a little cluster with my flowers. I have one clear sticker flower, and then I stamped some pink and blue flowers. Added another clear sticker that said XOXO and a sticker that says On a Journey. One of the blue sticker sheets that I picked, I kind of picked them at random depending on what I thought fit best, was probably from the Let Go story kit or Seek story kit, and it just worked really perfect because 2020 was definitely a journey, right? Okay, moving on to the grid page with the ing words, which I still find really difficult. I don't know why, but I find them difficult to fill out, but I think I did a pretty great job. So I'm going to put thankful over on the left-hand side and go ahead and do some more stamping just like I did on Monday. And then I'll figure out which two boxes I don't really need, and I'll cover that up with this 3x4 card that I have trimmed down. I don't remember what the boxes are. I want to say it was reading and driving. I don't know. I just picked two that I knew I had nothing to say about and worked with that. So I put for loving your awesome paper creations because my son was really into like origami, and in the top left photo he's kind of showing me his paper creation. I loved that. You can also see that he had giant headphones, so that was his kind of way to decompress, is listen to music. I also switched my pens so that way it could just be something different and visually appealing. For eating, I put junk because we decided to have Carl's Jr. for dinner. Why not? I try not to eat that way anymore, but back then I was like, we need a big burger sometimes. And I still think we do need a big burger every once in a while. For working, I put schoolwork and using checklists to keep us focused, hopefully, because I have a close-up of my son's checklist for the afternoon. For cleaning, I put, again, dishes, and then I talked about that more later, how being at home, we have a lot of dishes and not enough time to clean. Clean dishes? Yes. Actually clean the house? Probably not. So over on playing, that's where I talked about my son and his headphones, and then also my daughter and all her Barbies. I covered up two of the boxes with word phrase stickers because I knew I wasn't going to have something to put there. And again, I don't remember what one of them was. Probably, I don't know what it was, but I covered it up, put the sticker that says details and then took a clear sticker. I'm going to do that in just a second and put currently. And that's where I'll add the stamping coming out of the left of the journaling card and coming out of the top of the journaling card. And for dreaming, I put it's hard to pinpoint as life was so day to day. Just being totally honest, but I know back then I was not dreaming of vacations or, anything like that. And I didn't want to be like a downer and be like, I'm dreaming of school coming back, because we had no idea when that was going to come back. And in the end, I think it took close to 2 years for school to go back to, what it was pre-2020. So just keeping it honest. Okay, I'm peeling apart those clear black stickers, gonna adhere them, and of course do my stamping. And here is my sheets. As I cut them up, I'm still leaving them all cut up. If I have a phrase I don't use from the sheet, I toss it in a little 4x6 bathroom tray. It's up in my left-hand corner of my screen. You can barely see it, but it's up there. This is the page that I missed the photo. I was so sad. I'm telling you guys, I was really bummed that I missed a photo, because it takes a long time to get a print order together. Like, I don't want to just send one photo. I want to send a big chunk of photos. So I'm working on my next photo order, and I will hopefully get it soon. But on this page, I used a really bold blue acetate piece and also a leftover piece, the pink down there, of the 3x4 journaling card to kind of be a label for this week. And of course, did the florals off to both sides of that pink strip, which I absolutely love how that came together. Really awesome. And then the remember this, I just trimmed off the top edge and adhered it down. The middle box is going to kind of have a floating element to it with word stickers and some more stamping. Simple and just repeated, and really embracing Allie's idea that, things can have a formula and it's okay to just repeat it, right? It's the most important to have the photos and the stories documented. Next up is some afternoon, evening photos. Again, I kind of move chronological except for the gratitude and what I want to remember and the ing. So for the most part, chronological has always made sense for me for any and all Week in the Life albums. It's just, that's how my brain works. And sometimes when I get hung up on the chronological aspect, it's really hard to just let it go. I'd love to know in the comment section how you guys organize your albums. I'd love to know. So I had this great negative space in the grass, and so I decided to put a sticker right on top of the photo that says moments. And like I mentioned earlier, I think at the beginning when I was putting together the photos, I want to see if my kids will let me recreate this, because it is just fantastic. It would be absolutely priceless. I'd give my daughter, who's now 11, I'd give her a broom, and giving my son a ball, I mean, he still carries around a soccer ball, so that'd be no problem. Over on the back side of that little insert with my sister, I'm going to stack some clear sticker phrases. So I'm just cutting those out to see which ones I want to use. Again, very simple. I could have stamped some more flowers. on the back of this 4x8, but I felt like there was some on the main left page and the right page, so I didn't really need any on the insert. What I came up with was highs and lows, then the pink acetate that says this week, and then below that I put it's hard because it's hard, because I have photos of the kids doing Zoom school, and for us it was really hard. Every day was very hard. I had a 6th grader who was in middle school, and I had my daughter who was in 1st grade and not getting that critical social aspect. So, I'm sure it was hard for a lot of people, but that's why I said it's hard. Just 2020 was hard. Anyways, I've got school, the clear sticker title right in the middle, again repeating, that is the theme. How many times can I say that? If you guys get tired of me saying that, let me know. But it just is making such a difference to know that this is what I'm doing. This is my process. I don't need to change it. I don't need to come up with a new idea every single time I'm turning the page. Like, it's just that easy. So down at the bottom, I did decide to kind of stray from my formula and just write out a little note about how proud I am of the kids and how strong and resilient they are sticking through all of this. I mean, at this point, it was still very new. We had no idea that we were going to do distance learning for so long, but I wanted to have a note there saying that this is hard and I'm proud of them. Moving on to the last page. Yeah, I think the last page where I have a family photo of us at dinner, and I kind of wanted to draw the eye upwards, so I went ahead and put a clear sticker up top that says memories and just added it right on top of the photo. And then of course I will add a word phrase sticker. I had an acetate that was gray and it was a camera, so I figured, you know what, it's a neutral, it's not pink, it's not blue, but I'm going to go ahead and use it. And then I put the word phrase sticker right on top of the acetate circle, and it says you. So it was perfect. And then for Tuesday, I am going to do something a little different with my journaling, and I'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to make the little stampy card for the QR code. And again, the QR code, I just uploaded it to my Dropbox and uploaded my Instagram stories. I took a screen recording, then saved it in iMovie, then uploaded it to Dropbox. Once it's in Dropbox, I can take that link and make a QR code. So that's what I did, and you can scan it, or my family can scan it there and go ahead and watch that if they want to. So that's really awesome to have. I stamped a border of blue flowers and down at the bottom and then up at the top, and so much gratitude. And you can see I had to cover up my son's chest because I don't know why, but he had his shirt over his head. He probably didn't want a photo taken, but there was also a lot of bedtime shenanigans during this time, and bedtime was quite the adventure to climb. Quite the endeavor each night. So and you can see by the look on my face, I'm one tired mama. So it was fun. But I wouldn't mind having those crazy bedtime shenanigans now, 5 years later. But for stories on Tuesday, I'm going to just think about the stories that came about throughout the day. On Monday, I did a list. For Tuesday, I'm thinking about the stories. So like the importance of cuddles to start the morning or day, loving the weather, appreciating time outside, talking to my Australian friend, tackling school and computers, scrapbooking, or finding creativity in a variety of ways, scrapbooking, paper creations, and even online games. So I really got into this list and figuring out different ways I could journal and just kind of figure out the stories that came about from this day. And then after this is when I can go back to the timeline and finally do that. And hopefully next time when I do Wednesday, I will not forget the process for how I figured out my timestamps. And if anybody knows how to figure this out on a Mac computer, please let me know, because on my Mac computer, it says the photos are from 2025, and that's when I uploaded them. That's not when they were actually taken. So it's a little confusing to me, but just in case anyone knows, Okay, so I flipped it up and I added some word phrase stickers. I thought about adding something to the bathroom photo, but in the end went with no day like today. And then we moved back over to the timeline, and like I mentioned, I, for some reason, could not remember how I figured out the exact time my photos were taken, because that helps me to kind of write down what our timeline was for the day. I thought it was on my Mac computer, but like I just mentioned, it's not on my Mac computer because my Mac computer thinks the photos were created in 2025. Finally, it's Dropbox. Dropbox gives me the exact timestamp of my photos, which makes it super easy to figure out when my photos were taken. So that might be a tip and trick to help you. So we wake up about 8 o'clock and my daughter comes in the room and snuggles with me, which is really awesome. We also still had our sweet old cranky dog, Lulu, so I let her out and I just wrote down a few thoughts on our morning process, added in a clear sticker that says learning because we spent a good chunk of our morning doing Zooms and then of course having lunch. So I talked about that, and then we would do a TV break, which is the photo that I forgot. The kids, like, they're so precious in that photo. You'll see it in a little bit, but they're totally zoned out, like just tired from Zooms, but they wanted a TV break before we went outside. So I'm going to write that down at the bottom. And of course, switching up my pens again, just to keep it, you know, just to add some variety. And also the pink washi tape for, you know, indicating sleep. I don't know what to put there. If you guys have any ideas, I'd love to know what your ideas are for those sleeping spots. But I always get stumped. Like, what do you put there? Like, obviously we're asleep. We're not going to wait. I am not going to be awake during that time. Thank you very much. And then I totally skipped 4 p.m. on this. I don't know if that was intentional, but I did. I wrote in creative time before dinner and the whole evening process. We took a last recess with Dad, like outside time. Then there was bath time, added in a clear sticker, and bath time, you guys, oh my goodness. It went by so quick. But bath time, I was still like monitoring my daughter, making sure she was safe in the tub and everything. So wow, time flies. Then I made a little list for bedtime silliness, you know, with the cat. We were snuggling with the cat. There was bathroom teeth brushing and reading together. Then I added in a few little notes for like, I almost put the heading with my thicker Tombow pen, adult bedtime, but that sounded kind of inappropriate. So I just wrote little notes like groceries, computer fun, ice cream, bed. But I was very tempted to put adult bedtime fun. But like I said, that probably would not have been appropriate. So I just added in those little notes and called it good enough. So now we're going to flip through it and you'll see me add in the 4x6 photo. So start off with the 6x8s and then the gratitudes and feelings, the INGs, and what I want to remember. And then of course that 4x6 photo of my kids totally zoned out. More photos of the day and finishing up with the 6x8 and the QR code. So I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing Tuesday come together. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Alrighty, thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.